Hello everyone and welcome back to Sudden Wealth. I do hope you're having a wonderful day. If you do enjoy the content, please drop that like and subscribe. It greatly helps the channel, so thank you very much. So the day has come, finally, 19th of July. I will reveal what I consider to be my retirement bags. I want to leave this very clear from the start. I'm not here to tell you to go buy these things. I'm not telling you anything. I am just saying what they are right now, being transparent. Over the next few weeks, I will describe each of the projects, why I do believe they will do very well. And this is basically what I hope this is basically my journey in what I hope to be generational wealth. As I mentioned before, and this intertwines into my strategy, which is, to me, 2023 is the recovery year, as well as 2022. So I've been accumulating a lot of, as much as possible in each of these projects. And 2024, I do plan to buy bigger chunks whenever there is a huge sell-off. So let's say there's a 40-50% sell-off during 30 days or something. I will probably buy very heavily. And in 2025, I will start to DCA out. That is my plan. This is about 95% of my portfolio. The rest, which I called fun coupons or lottery tickets, or are just basically little plays to keep myself entertained. And of course, if I manage to catch one Pepe, for example, why not? Right? If I don't, it's so small, it's such a small money that I really don't care. And what I try to do is I have very short-term targets and strategies for those coins. Some of them I win, some of them I lose. That's beyond the point. The point is I actually do proper risk management, so even if they go to zero, I really don't care. Now, the retirement bags is basically what I think will lead me into generation wealth over the next bull cycle. So as I mentioned, I'm not here for the next week price, the next month price, the next 48 hours price. I'm here with a clear target, either when the Bitcoin ETF comes out, depending on when it comes out, or 2025. And then I start to look for something that will justify starting to DCAing out more aggressively. Now, I will never sell all of it. Why? Because these projects all allow you to actually get trustless yield. So I don't need to exit them completely, even in the next bear market. So here it is. After this long introduction, I apologize for that. The ecosystem that I think will succeed more than the others in the next bull cycle will be the X Pulse Chain PulseX ecosystem, with the founder Richard Hart. So the coins that I do own are X on Ethereum, X on Pulse Chain PLS, PulseX PLSX, the ticker symbol, and then the derivatives Hedron and ICOSA. I also have BNB pot and Pulse pot. So in case people don't know, if you did sacrifice for those, they are basically a decentralized casino. If you did sacrifice for those, they will launch in multiple chains, which means you get coins in multiple chains. And I thought it may be interesting for the next bull cycle, so I also bought them, but in a much smaller degree than compared to the others. Now, why do I think Pulse Chain will succeed? Now, Pulse Chain, for those who don't know, it's a fork of Ethereum. It's basically faster, cheaper, deflationary, and it had a great difference from the other forks that are out there, which is if you had coins on Ethereum, so for example, Uniswap, Chainlink, you name it, you got a free copy for free on the Pulse Chain side. So the only thing that you need to do is basically change the settings of the MetaMask. So you have Pulse Chain, and whatever coins you had at the time of the fork, I don't know, Chainlink, Pepe, Uniswap, you name it, you got copies on Pulse Chain. Copies of the coins, not the dollar value, very importantly. So for example, if you had 1,000 Chainlink on Ethereum, you got 1,000 Chainlink on Pulse Chain, but 1,000 Chainlink on Ethereum has a different value than it has on Pulse Chain, okay? But the idea was, since so much money is lost in bridges, is that here, in this case, you already have your coins on this side, so you limit a lot the risk of losing money in the bridges. Now, X was the first project, and it was launched in 2019 by Richard Hart. Everyone called it a scam. Everyone says it's gonna go to zero. Everyone destroyed it over and over again. And then the project did a 1,000,000% from bottom to top. That's a 10,000 fold. So people stopped calling it a scam. Now, one of the people that called it in front of Richard, by the way, and called Richard a scammer, is Alex Machinsky, the Celsius guy. Where is he now? Bye-bye, right? So he was the scammer. He's now going to go to jail. He caused the people to lose millions of dollars, blah, blah, blah. Everyone knows the story. So this is the same caliber of people. Now the question is, why do they call Richard Hart a scammer? To be honest, I came across him very randomly. I was watching an interview of Harry Dent, and somehow, for some reason, Richard was having a debate or an interview with Harry Dent, which I always found very curious. And when I looked at him and he was talking, and then I searched a bit about him, he seemed like a complete scammer to me. Until you actually listen. When you start listening to him, and then it's very simple. He says something on this side, you go check the facts on this side, did they match or not? For example, he was advising people, he was telling people to get your coins out of FTX, BlockFi, Celsius. And he said, if you don't, you're going to be on the headlines for losing all your money. Remember, this was in 2021. All of these projects were running hot. That's the key, right? Because after they collapsed, then it's very easy. The key is to trash talk, if you will, when things are going very well for the other projects. He also warned about Luna, that it was a complete garbage, when Luna was running very hot. So, but that's what it takes. I think it was Michael Jordan that said, talking trash when you're ahead is very simple. Talking trash when you're behind, that's how you prove what kind of man you really are. So he did predict all of these things to go bankrupt. When Coinbase IPO came out, he said this is the top for Bitcoin, which should have been, but a lot of people decided to buy a second top on leverage, the 69,000 one, such as Michael Saylor, Three Arrows Capital, Celsius. Most of these are bankrupt, and Michael Saylor was, struggling a bit for a while. So basically, all of these people were wrong. Richard was also wrong for one single day. In November was the 69,000, and so X performed very well. And what happened? What was X? What was the idea behind X? So the problem with Bitcoin that you have is that Bitcoin doesn't give you yield. So what are your choices? Either you spend your Bitcoin, which is not the purpose, because Bitcoin is supposed to be a store of value, or you go for these staking programs in which you give your Bitcoin away, and then you hope that you're going to get more Bitcoin after a while. So what did he do with X? It's very simple. He basically, instead of having the typical inflation that you see on Bitcoin, in which you have the mining hardware, you spend a lot of electricity, and at the end you have a Bitcoin, he replaced that with staking. if you stake for an X amount of time, just like you do in a savings account in Europe or in a certificate of deposit in the US, you basically block your money for a certain period of time. The more you block, the more interest you get. Same thing with X. Of course, people confused it and said, "Oh, that's a Ponzi scheme. Where does the interest come from?" The interest comes from the code, just like Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin, why do the miners get Bitcoin? Because the code says they will get Bitcoin, not because there's a hidden company giving those Bitcoin away. No, they have to be created out of nowhere, just like X is. So X is programmed to inflate up to 3.69% per year, which means that every year there's going to be 3.69% more X in supply. Now, if you go to the website, it is, I think the average APY is 38%. And people say, 38%, there you go. See, this is a scam. What people don't understand is that only 10% are staked. So 3.69% divided by 10% is actually 38%. So if 100% of people who own X would stake it, then you, depending on the time you staked, you would get on average 3.69%, which is what the code inflates. Very simple. Now, what was the problem with X? Ethereum fees were far too expensive. So, time to create Pulse Chain. Pulse Chain is a fork of Ethereum, cheaper, faster, no mining, of course, proof of stake, and indeed you got your copies of your ERC20 tokens on the Pulse Chain. Now, I have to say this, and by the way, I think I'm the only person who disagrees here. I don't think Pulse Chain will be the best performer. Why? Layer 1 chains were the big winners of the last cycle. I've never seen a cycle in which 2 times you have the same narrative or the same thing outperforming. Now, this is my personal opinion, pure speculation. I own them all, so I really don't care. And I do think with all the exchanges in trouble, now Coinbase and Binance being targeted by the SEC, FTX went bankrupt, Celsius went bankrupt, Voyager, BlockFi, blah, 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 all of these went bankrupt. Maybe decentralized exchanges will play a bigger role. So PulseX, which is a fork of Uniswap, with a big difference. Every time you trade on PulseX, there's a bit of a fee who goes into the market, which is used to go into the market, buy PulseX, and burn it forever. Think about it. So if PulseX does $1 billion in volume per day, that's like having someone with $600,000 buying PulseX and burn it forever. That's it. So I do think decentralized exchanges will be much more important this cycle than before. I do think all the coins will do well, so that's why I have them all. Now, again, X is supposed to be a version of Bitcoin, Pulse Chain a version of Ethereum, and PulseX a version of Uniswap. Now, Hydron and Icosa are made by a different founder called Alex, and they are derivatives on X. So they are supposed to derive extra value by giving certain support or certain features to X and X stakes. Now, don't worry, I will go in detail on each of these coins and why I think they will do well. But indeed, it shows great promise for the next cycle. So I do think it will also do very well. Why? Because that price is a derivative of X price. So if I think X will do well, Hydron and Icosa should do well as well. Now, I have listened to hours of Richard Hart. He's now in a different state of mind, but he used to dress like you would expect on a scammer, the project, particularly X, attracted a lot of scammer vibes, and the idea was scams attract people very well. So the idea of the project was, okay, let's attract people using the same tactics as scams, however, actually with a legit project, which is a controversial marketing strategy. It proved to be successful, by the way, but indeed it was, I would call it, very controversial. Now, again, I'm not here to give you financial advice. I'm just telling you what I think will lead me into financial independence, and is this ecosystem. Now, you can disagree with me, you can call me stupid, idiot, delusional, whatever. Again, I'm here for 2024, 2025, and we'll see if I picked correctly or not. And since I'm not selling you anything, since I'm not trying to have you join some courses or some private groups, I am just basically broadcasting my journey. And if you're interested, you can follow me in the sense of seeing my journey happen. That's all I'm doing here. Okay, so I don't aim to be a leader of anything or to be here. I'm not a promoter. I'm not paid by anyone, and I'm also not a diehard, complete fan of everything that everybody does. So in that context, I'm just a random guy, literally. Now, for PulseChain and PulseX, there was a sacrifice phase, or if you will, some sort of ICO, if you will. And the thing is, the price has not performed as people expected. Now, I don't know why they are so surprised, taking into account how Hex performed in the first 3 months. And by the way, when people say, oh yeah, but X in the first 3 months performed a bit better. Yes, and the Fed was cutting rates at the same time, by the way, which is not the case right now. But in any case, if you look at the performance of the ecosystem compared to when Ethereum launched, Solana launched, Cardano launched, it's actually pretty similar. But I do think because people saw 1,000,000% in X, I do think people were expecting, immediate generation wealth from day one, and yeah, well, expectations, anyone can have their expectations. That's why when I've spoken about the strategies, the 3 strategies for my next cycle, that's why I looked at very carefully at the bearish case as well, because it can happen. Okay, and in the next few weeks, I will be going into more detail on each of them and why I think they will succeed. I do think we are in this boring kind of cleaning out phase that these major projects tend to have. I will write in the description the current price on each of the projects that I'm in and basically my average price. And here's something that I would like to say, which is very important in my opinion. Now, I am very convinced this project will do very well. I'm talking about them at a time that they've been punished quite heavily in terms of price. Now, very important, if you look at X, Hedron, and ICOSA, because they exist on Ethereum, if you go to the CoinMarketCap or to TradingView, you can find the right ones, but let's say if you go to CoinMarketCap, many cases it will on default send you to the projects on the Ethereum side. But these projects are actually performing quite much better on the PulseChain side. Now, I personally don't care because I had them on Ethereum, so I got the copies on PulseChain. So to me, I'm fine. You see, but very importantly, if you now buy them on Ethereum, you no longer get copies on PulseChain because the fork has already happened. Okay, so very important. So basically, for newcomers, they now need to choose which chain they like the most. Now, myself, I try to stay within the PulseChain ecosystem. However, if I see a lot of people casting doubt on the Ethereum side, it kind of gives me the urge of, okay, if everybody's against it, this seems like the And usually when the entire crowd is in favor of something, it gives me the urge to buy on the Ethereum side, but I can be completely wrong. So in that sense, I'm in a different position because I have them on both chains. So for newcomers, look, I think you should do your own research. I think you should maybe listen to other people, see what they think. I try to have them all. In this case, if one goes up first or one goes up afterwards, I still do well in any scenario. And I could have waited. So for example, I'm so convinced that these projects will do well. I could have waited for them like the other YouTubers do, right? I could just waited for them to have a big run and then talk about them over and over again. But the same way that Michael Jordan said that the guts of a guy is seen when he trash talks when he's losing, I am actually revealing my portfolio when the coins are still down. This is not, again, not financial advice. What I'm trying to say is that I'm not here to basically try to capture the ad revenue and the attention, because it could be very easy, right? I could just sit here and see the coins every day, every coin in every ecosystem. And every time I see a coin going up 40%, I could drop a video saying this coin went up 40%. I went in 5 days ago. If you join my group, I will tell you about this place, blah, blah, blah. You see, so I could have done something like that. Of course, I'm not going to do anything like I could have waited for Pulse Chain to start really pumping and then come and talk about it. But I believe in the project right now, when the price is down. This is when I believe it, okay? So that's why I'm revealing it right now, when it's not so easy to do so. And look, guys, you are completely entitled to think that I'm an idiot, that I'm going to lose all my money. It's all perfectly fine. And I'm not here to try to convince you to go, buy any of these. I'm just revealing, as I promised before, what I believe is going to be the most successful ecosystem of this cycle. In 2025, we'll be here to see if I was right or if I was completely wrong and I was a complete clown. So very exciting to see what's going to happen. I will keep you posted, and once again, I'm not here because to promote anything. I'm here just to broadcast my journey to the world. If you find that interesting, great. If you don't find it interesting, it's also great. So thank you very much, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.